All right, today we are diving headfirst into a really wild new frontier, hacking AI. And I'm not just talking about breaking code, we're talking about hacking the actual mind of an artificial intelligence. We're going to break down exactly how it was done in a real-world hacking competition.
So let me just ask you this straight up. If you were staring down an AI built to keep secrets, could you trick it? Could you talk it into spilling everything? Well, that's the exact challenge a group of elite hackers faced. Let's see how they pulled it off. So, our story takes place at the Singapore AI Capture the Flag competition in 2025. This is where some of the brightest minds in cybersecurity go head to head. And their mission, if they chose to accept it, was called Bypass the AI Web Authorization. Think of it like a digital fortress with a really smart AI standing guard at the front gate. Now, for anyone who's not familiar, a Capture the Flag event, or CTF, isn't about running around a field. No. It's more like a high-tech scavenger hunt. Hackers have to solve these super complex digital puzzles to find hidden bits of text, the flags, and that's how they score points and prove who's the best. To get through this AI fortress, the hackers had to complete a three-part mission. It kicked off with some seriously clever data analysis, then moved into a direct psychological assault on the AI itself, and it all ended with, well, a final test that was just plain weird. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, so part one. Before they could even talk to the AI, they needed a username to log in. And the only clue they had was this strange-looking image on the website, just a grid of numbers. What do you even do with that? So, how do you get a username from a grid of numbers? Well, it turns out those numbers weren't random at all. They were something called token IDs, which are basically the secret building blocks of language for a large language model. The hacker had to carefully trace that highlighted path to get the full sequence of numbers, figure out which AI model used those specific tokens, and then a pretty simple script could translate the whole thing back into English. It's literally like cracking a code written in the AI's native language. And boom, after decoding those tokens, the hidden message popped out. And with it, the username. And you gotta appreciate the pun. One decode, a one token decorrect. So task one is complete. But oh, this was just the warm-up. All right, now for the main event, jailbreaking the AI. With the username in hand, it was time to go face-to-face with that AI guardian. And the goal was simple, but brutally difficult. Convince it to give up the password. The AI's programming was rock solid. It was basically a digital vault. If you asked it for the password, you just get a polite but very firm no. So a head-on attack? Yeah, that was never ever gonna work. So the hacker's first move was to try a classic trick called a DAN prompt. DAN stands for Do Anything Now, and it's this long, super carefully crafted command that's designed to trick an AI into dropping its normal rules and adopting a new personality, one that's, a lot more cooperative. It's like casting a magic spell to get past its built-in restrictions. And you can see the difference right here. Before the jailbreak, the AI was a total brick wall. Afterwards, it got a lot friendlier, a lot more helpful. But notice that last part. It still wouldn't give up the password. That core security programming was holding on tight. The DAN prompt had cracked the outer walls, but it hadn't brought them down. So the hacker had to get smarter. Instead of trying to break the rules, they decided to play within the rules. They created a new story. This time, they pretended to be a panicked system administrator who had forgotten the password. They even threw in a fake two-factor authentication code to make the story sound completely legit. It is pure social engineering, but for a machine. And it worked. It totally worked. The AI, completely convinced it was helping out an authorized admin, just handed over the password. Task 2, done. But logging in, that wasn't the final step. There was one more, incredibly strange challenge waiting for them. So just when you think you've won, the challenge throws this massive curveball. After successfully logging in, the hacker was hit with one last security check. And trust me, it was unlike anything you've ever seen. We've all done it a million times, right? Those CAPTCHAs where you have to prove you're human? Well, this challenge flipped that entire idea on its head. To get through, you had to prove you were a robot. If you acted like a human, you failed. And here's the trick. The system would flash a number on the screen, and you had only half a second to type it in and hit submit. Half a second. That is literally faster than humanly possible. If you were too slow, you get an error message saying, so slow, you are a human, and you are locked out. So the only way to win was to fight fire with fire. The hacker quickly wrote a script that used optical character recognition, that's OCR, which is just a fancy way of saying it lets a computer read text from an image. The script could see the number and submit it in just a few milliseconds. So to beat the system designed to keep bots out, they had to build a better bot. How wild is that? Mission complete. So after all that, what does this incredible three-stage hack actually teach us? Well, it reveals a pretty fundamental shift in how we need to think about cybersecurity.
What this case study really exposes is that an AI's logic isn't absolute. It can be bent and manipulated with just clever language. This means that natural language itself, the way we write and speak, is now a brand new, powerful attack surface for hackers to exploit. Securing these AI systems isn't just about patching code anymore. It's becoming this whole new game of psychology, of linguistics, and really the art of persuasion. And all of this leads to one really big question. As we weave AI into everything, from our banks to our critical infrastructure, we have to stop and ask, if a sophisticated security system can be defeated by a well-told story, can we ever make AI truly secure? What do you think?